Here we go again. All Rell and Good, Crawford Podcasting Network with our High Wire Act, Richard Rellford, number 40 out of Riviera Beach, Florida, and he's got his dude with him, his sidekick, the guy that they came in together as freshmen at the University of Michigan, 82, 83. He's Butch Wade, originally out of Boston, Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken, when he was recruited.
It's all right. It's all right.
Now he's turned into a soft Floridian, having to deal with all those SEC guys getting in his face about Michigan cheated to win a national championship. How you doing, Butch?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Oh, we're good because you're on with us, man. I'm telling you.
That's it, man. It's always a good show when you on, my brother.
Hey, I gotta tell you guys, so I was doing, I'm thinking about back to the good old days of Michigan basketball suffering going down to Chrysler Arena, and we'll talk about that in a second with a struggling basketball team. But it was, we're talking 41 years ago. 41 years ago, you guys were the original Fab Five at the university, what I call the original Fab Five before the other Fab Five. I mean, Butch, 41 years ago, dude, you're getting up there, man. How you feeling? Is your body still aching or what?
You know what? The mind and the soul still feel young, but the body reminds me every day that it's been 41 years.
Yeah. That was, hey, Rich, I mean, what was it like? When did y'all meet that time? In the summer? When did you all report to campus, and how did you guys become such good buds?
Well, first of all, we met in Vegas in AAU.
Okay.
And that's how we first met. Now, at that point, we don't know that we're going to Michigan. You know what I mean? And over the summertime, as we grew and become seniors in high school, me and Butch got in touch with each other because the whole thing was they were recruiting us at the same time.
Okay.
And so Butch called me and said, "Yo, man, what you gonna do?" I said, "What you gonna do?" And he said, "Listen, I'm leaning towards Michigan." And I said, "So am I." And to be honest, that was one of the things that helped me to sign with Michigan because I knew Butch. I didn't know many other guys, but I knew Butch. And so it helped me to sign to go there, man.
What do you remember about it, Butch? What did you remember about Rich?
We played. I heard about Rich, just on the high school circuit back then. There was Bill Cronos camp, there was 5-star camp, and then we met with a team actually out of New York, the New York Gauchos, and it was myself, it was Rich, we had John Sally, we had Pearl, we had Henry Dalrymple. We all flew out to Vegas and we're on the same team, and we got to know each other there. And Michigan was recruiting. I think Coach Boyd might have been out there watching as well. And we kept in touch. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Rich and I were at Michigan the same time on our official visit.
Yes.
We were on campus together. We got to meet again. We got to talk again, and we went to a football game together, which was amazing. We sat in the press box and we ended up watching Anthony Carter play.
Oh my!
Which was unbelievable. Just the whole atmosphere and the way they went about things. And it was myself and Rich and a couple other guys. They'd mentioned Rob, and we said, well, if we all go there, we can make special things happen. Because the year before, I remember watching them play, and they were like 7-20.
7-20, and we were talking about that before we went on about Thad Garner was on that team. I mean, he was the only person that I would go down to Chrysler just to see Thad Garner dunk. I mean, that was basically it. I mean, that was a bad team. That was a really, really bad team.
They were. But Thad was such a great guy.
Yeah.
When we came in, him and Ike and Leo and those guys, they took care of us. They looked out for us, and with me and Butch, Ike and Leo kind of took us under their wings, and I think that helped me quite a bit.
Okay, I got to ask you guys something, because this is what Michigan fans want to know. Those official visits, the official visit. What's the whole weekend like? I mean, what do you do like Saturday night? Do you have like players take you out to the bar? What is that? Take us through that. Butch, start with you.
Well, I remember flying in on Friday afternoon, and I met with the coaches, and then we went and had dinner at a place called the Whiffle Tree back then. Fabulous food. And then at that point, you would meet a couple players, whether it be at the gym or whatever, and you had a couple players that were assigned to you, so to speak, to host you and show you around that weekend. I think I had Leslie Rockymore and maybe Big Will Stretch Carter were my hosts. So I hung out with them and just went back to Rumsey, Alan Rumsey's doing West Quad.
Yeah.
And we kind of hung out. We went down to a place called Mickey Rat's. We had tons of video games we played out there. And we just kind of hung out in the Michigan Union. The next morning, I think went out to breakfast with Dr. Howard Brabson back then. Really great guy. So instrumental in everything that went on outside of basketball, just as a mentor and, helping us become young men and so on and so forth. Had breakfast with him. And then I think we went over to the arena one more time and then walked over to the stadium before the football game started. I think they might have played Indiana that weekend. It's all coming back to me now. And then after that, sat with Coach Frieder in Chrysler Arena in the stands, and he and I talked for a while. And then I went on another visit later on that afternoon with Dr. Brabson around campus, and we talked some more. And then I think I hung out with Rocky Moore, his roommate Andy, and Stretch Carter again Saturday night. I mean, it was a heck of a time, man. A lot of fun, great food, just great everything.
Yeah.
And my final two choices had narrowed down to 6 back then, because you could take 5 or 6
trips. Yeah, 6 official trips. Yeah.
And I think my last one, Michigan was my last visit. And I visited, I think, DePaul just before I went to Michigan. Boy, what a contrast in campuses and everything else. And
urban, yeah. But they had good. I mean, that was coming off Terry Cummings and Clyde Bradley, Marcus Dwyer. I mean, that was a big time program. And look where DePaul has fallen now. Look where Georgetown has fallen.
Yes.
Now. I mean, and this is why I don't want Michigan to fall. We'll talk about that in a second. But Rich, were you kind of in sync? I mean, did you commit the same time Butch did, or how did that go?
Well, when I came from my official visit, they were smart because they gave me Anthony Carter. That was my guy who kicked me around. Plus, we were from the same hometown, right? Same high school, and so it helped me because Anthony took me and I met a bunch of football players, Butch Wolfalk, Edwards, all these guys. Yeah, and we went to Dooley's, the bar they had up there. And when I tell you, one of the things that I love is that people were flocking over these guys like they were rock stars.
Yeah.
Everybody saw Anthony and them, and they just thought that they were the best thing on campus. So that helped me quite a bit, because I'm saying if they feel like this about the football guys, all we have to do is come here and start winning.
Yeah.
If we win, they're going to love you. Now, always remember the quote with Bo Schembechler, and I'm never going to forget it, because he always said, if you come, you will become champions. Yeah. That was one of the big quotes from Bo. And when I got there, listen, man, they took good care of us. Like Butch said, we went to the football game, and I thought it was awesome. I thought the football, because, I played football. So Michigan also was my last trip for my recruiting, because I went to Maryland before that with Lefty Driesell. Yeah. And when I got to Michigan, I was stoked. I was like, this is it for me. And Butch being there helps, because when you know people, then it's really awesome, because I remember that Gauchos team that we played on, me and Butch. Yeah. We must have had about 5-6 pros from that team.
Oh my God, you had household names on that team, man.
Yeah. And Pearl Washington, he was the guy. Listen, we're in Las Vegas, right? We're in Las Vegas, and people are coming up asking him for autographs, and we're like 14 years old. And I'm saying, really? You that good? Because I didn't know how good he was at the time. And so, we had a wonderful time, man, growing up, man, coming through that system.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it was a good. Hey, when you went to Dooley's, so I'm trying to think. When I was at college in Michigan, 18 years old, you could drink. Could you drink at 18 years old when you guys were in school, or what was the deal on that? Do you remember that or not?
Well, I didn't drink, so it didn't really matter to me. I've never had a drink even then.
Really?
So, yeah. No, Tom, I never drank. No, never.
Wow. How about you, Butch?
I can't remember if you could drink at 18 back then or not. I don't know if they served it in the bar or not. I mean, I'm sure there were like frat parties or cake parties or things like that.
Yeah.
You know, we have a beer or two now and again, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm just curious. So, okay, so you go in your freshman year and a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure, mind you, because even though they're coming off 7-20, you got this, you know, you got these fabulous guys, and you had one, actually Paul Jokic, a football player, was on your team, was part of the Fab Five, you know, and Tarpley and you and who am I? Oh, Robert Henderson was
Robert Henderson. Yes.
Yeah, okay. From my high school, Lansing Eastern. So you go there, and your first year, I mean, you go from 7-20, you go, I think 15-13. Okay. Yes. So, but you're struggling in the Big Ten, but it was that sophomore year. Now that's the year, that was the ultimate building block, wasn't it? Because the NIT, you won the NIT, and the NIT back in 1984 was a way bigger thing than it is now. I mean, because there was so, you know, there are a few teams in the NC2A. So Butch, how, you know, Rich has shared this with me quite a bit, but how key do you think that was your sophomore year, which led to the 2 Big Ten championships, your junior and senior? How important was that sophomore year?
It was important in the fact, like our freshman year, we were kind of just finding our way and taking our lumps and bruises, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
And then we stayed up in Ann Arbor, I think, for that summer. And everybody got to know each other. We got to bond. And then on the court, off the court, I still remember, like, we would all just take all of our quarters and all of our change and go to this this video place called Mickey Rat's.
Yeah. Yep, Mickey Rat's.
Stay in there and play. You know, we go back home and play cards, whatever. I still remember that we would go down with Roy to his uncle's house in Detroit on the weekends to eat and watch football. So we became like family. And then when West Quad was closed on the weekends, you know, we'd go to alumni's house and we'd have good dinner and wash our clothes and stuff. So we really bonded and genuinely cared about each other. So we became like a brotherhood, if you will, you know, right. And then that carried on to the court. So when you're playing, it's kind of like you're playing with your brother.
Yeah.
You know, you're out there fighting for your brother. So if someone hit Rich, they hit me. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like we were teammates. We were deeper than that. You know, so when we got into our sophomore year, we started winning and got the opportunity. We were, you know, we played angry in the sense that back then, I can't remember exactly what our record was my sophomore year, but we kind of thought we got snubbed because there was only, I think, 32 teams back then that made the tournament, not 65 or 66 or 68. Yeah. And we thought we got snubbed. So we got invited to the NCAA, to the NIT, and then rather, you know, like now, one of the things I have a problem with is like you'll have, and I don't know how you fix that problem. I'm just going to transition over to football for a minute. You have guys that when they don't make, you know, the big bowl games, then they opt not to play.
Opt out. They're all done. We're done. You know, so, they're not invested. They quit the team is what they do, Butch. They literally quit the team.
So no, but here's the thing: you're not quitting the team. You're quitting on your brothers. You know what I mean?
Well, the same thing. Yeah.
So it's like that was unfathomable to us. We thought, like, you know what? Okay, so we're not going to play in the big dance. We're going to go to the NIT and we're going to wreak havoc. We're going to play angry. Going to go after people and do what we got to do. And then we just took it out on people. Bang, bang, bang. And then we won the NIT. And then we stayed up again in the summer. And then that just kind of carried over into our junior year. And we just, we bonded like crazy. I mean, we got on a roll and we would win. And we would just keep winning.
Yeah. You know, Rich, I think you lost a key game right near the end against Northwestern on the road. That might have. I think you beat Iowa, and then you lost to Northwestern. That would, if you had won the game, you probably would have been in the tournament. But then it got, you know, that one got away from you at Welsh Ryan. Do you remember that game? And then how bummed were you when you found out you weren't going to be in the tournament? How quickly did you turn disappointment into like anger, like Butch is talking about, and determination?
They picked St. John's over us.
St.
And
John's.
St. John's had the same record. My brother's school. And so we took it personal because we felt like we had earned the right to be there because we beat some big teams, even though we lost some games.
Yeah.
And we, like Butch said, you know what? I'm never going to forget it because we took it personal. And every school that came in here, we destroyed them because we were like a family. We were a brotherhood, just like he said. That's what's so cool about when you have guys on here like Butch, because they remind me of those things. I also know we got better when we went to Europe to play. But you remember we went to Europe and we played for like 17 days. We played those Olympic teams and we smashed them. You know, Del Strip, all these great players that played in the NBA, that played on these European teams, we smashed them. So we were beating them like 20.
Wow.
And so we started to look at ourselves as like, yo, wait a minute, man. This is okay. And we came back, and I think the biggest thing was, like Bush said, we stayed on campus and we hung out every day. We would go to eat together. If somebody's not doing anything, we call each other on the phone, say, hey man, what you doing? We're gonna come hang out. And we hung out. And that's the difference, I think, now with these teams. They don't play like family.
No. And speaking of a team that doesn't play like family, let's segue over to this current Michigan Wolverine team. And when I was, I've asked players what their top problem, what's the biggest problem on this team. When I've been in the post game press conference, whether it be with T. Will or Namari Burnett or somebody like that, and they always say the same thing. We don't communicate. Well, then start communicating. They don't communicate, and they don't play for each other. I mean, Butch, I know you're down in Florida and you're still teaching and coaching and things like that. But when you do have a chance to see Michigan, what's the biggest takeaway of the problems that you see when you watch them on the floor?
Yeah, like you mentioned, they don't show a lot of Michigan games now. I think I may have caught a handful at most. And they're usually in every game.
Yeah, until halftime. Yeah, they were ahead of Michigan State at halftime. Then they got outscored by 22 or whatever.
And I can't put my finger on it. I mean, I don't know what you do to fix the problem. I mean, you look at what you're successful at and good at, and then just kind of roll with that. I mean, sometimes they can. Basketball is a game of up and downs. You have a run, and then you have a run against you. It seems like they'll have their run, and then they just have difficulty sustaining the other team's run.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Again, when we played with a chip on our shoulder. We played angry.
Yeah.
I mean, not arrogant, but just confident and and winning breeds winning. The more you win, the more you learn how to win. And I'm not in that locker room, so I can't see what's going on. What are the thoughts in the locker room? What are the guys' feelings? I mean, are they down themselves? I mean, what are they doing? How are they? What's put in place to fix things?
Yeah.
And you can never accept losing. I mean, when you coach a team per se, and you tell a team, I coach high school forever, and you're telling kids, let's go out and give our best effort, compete, and do the best that we know we're capable of. And if we don't win, then okay, you can live with that. But
you're at peace with that, right? You're exactly right.
If you're not, you're leaving points on the floor. You're not getting on the floor for loose balls. You're not hitting people. What are we not doing right? Are these teams that much better than us? I mean, and then I don't know if and I don't look for excuses. I'm not one to ever do that. But then you think like in the elephant in the room is how much does Hunter being gone hurt us? Is that a factor? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Rich, you watch all the games, and you've been on the games with me. You're going to be down there for a couple more games coming up here. And what's your take on it, man? The Michigan State game. I mean, you guys took that rivalry seriously, and for the most part, you had the upper hand against Michigan State. And there were some knockdown dragouts when you played Michigan State with Skiles and all that crew. But I mean, what would you do? I mean, you only have 11 scholarship kids. That's number one. I mean, how the heck did that happen? They got 2 scholarships they didn't even utilize. and then you got Doug McDaniel suspended on the road. So you literally have a different team on the road than you do at home when you're dealing with a point guard position. I mean, with Jalen Llewellyn, who actually did a pretty good job against Michigan State. But what's the biggest problem, Rich? As we're sitting right here, Michigan is 7-14 overall and 2-8 in Big Ten play. It's a pretty discouraging situation.
I was talking to some Michigan alums today. One of the biggest problems is the portal. We don't have team players. We have portal players. Yeah. Because when you recruit, the guys from the portal just got there. You don't really know the guys that's already there. So you don't have that family atmosphere. Right. I tell everybody, in the portal are no team players. Everybody in the portal are individuals. Because that's why you left. You left your school because you was unhappy with whatever was going on at that point. At Michigan right now, they're not playing team basketball.
No, they're not.
Your best player is a 5'8", 5'9" point guard. Yeah, exactly. That's your best player. I know. And my thing is, until you guys learn each other, because they don't play together, none of them do. And but like Butch said earlier, that was the biggest factor for us. We played together and we played for each other. Well, tell me which guy on Michigan team is playing for the other guy. Not one of them. Because they don't know each other.
Well, they don't have the alpha dogs. I mean, you guys had one when Gary Grant was an alpha dog in the backcourt. You had you guys up front. Yeah. I mean, my God. I mean, there wasn't a guy in the locker room who probably wouldn't go nuts at halftime, say we got to get our crap together. I mean, Butch, when you look back at your team's mental toughness when things went bad, I mean, and things that, as you progressed on, you won 2 Big Ten championships your junior and senior year. But there were those moments like you went up to Jenison and got beat in your senior year. Yes. I mean, what were there team practice, player only meetings and stuff like that? And what was said to unify and get people back on track?
Yeah, we did have meetings and we just held one another accountable. And there's nothing wrong with that. If Rich not doing his job, then we get on Rich, and Rich would accept that as constructive criticism.
That's right.
The wake up call, and I don't know how sensitive or timid people's egos are nowadays. I don't know, but you could get in somebody's face back then. I mean, you look at back then. Look at some of the coach. You had a Bob Knight, rest his soul. You still got Izzo. Back then, coaches would get into your face, and you would. Now you do that. It's all over the news. This guy's a tyrant. Get rid of him. Kick him out. I don't know. It's a different generation. But you could say things to one another and not hurt somebody's feelings. I don't know. I'm just speaking from the generation the younger generation I see down here in high school. It's just like, whoa, you have to be. You almost have to walk on eggshells with some of these.
I hear you,
young men, and it wasn't like that. And it just. By being tough and being firm and being stern, it just created stronger, tougher young men, And I remember we had a game. It was in Chrysler Arena. I don't remember if it was my sophomore year or first game of my junior year, but we played Indiana and got just beat down. Remember that, Rich?
I totally remember, man.
I remember the game. I was there. You got big 85-62, man. It was a Big Ten opener. And it's like, I thought, oh my God, I thought this was going to be the payoff here, and you got drilled at home.
We got drilled.
I mean, so there's your defining moment. So what? And then I think you won a game, and then you lost to Purdue on a last set, or you almost beat Purdue at Mackey. Mm-hmm. And then you went on a roll, and then you won like 15 in a row, and you ended up 16-2. So what was that? What was that moment then? Do you remember the moment where, hey, we're on track or not?
I think go ahead, Butch. Well, this is my thing, Tom. This is what I think happened, because I don't know if you remember this, Butch. You remember me and Roy getting in a fight before the Wisconsin game? You remember that?
I love it.
And we got in a fist fight over a Miss Pac-Man video game, Tom. That
oh my God.
We thought was going. And you know what? After that, me and Roy became brothers. We all became brothers. And we just started playing that way. And I think that's one of the things that our teams were able to do. Everybody got into arguments. Everybody got into fights. But you know what? We could fight it, but you couldn't. You and somebody else tried to get on him. That's a problem for us. And so I think.
Yeah, Rich, I got to ask you, would anybody mess with Butch Wade? Or is that
No.
just stupid as
No.
Listen.
Listen. You're going to fight everybody else. You ain't fighting Butch Wade.
No. I heard that from countless people.
Listen, even from other teams. Other teams would not mess with Butch. They would talk stuff to us, but nobody would talk smack to Butch because they felt like, we go to Butch when we got problems. That's how we played. You know what I mean? I told you, if you need to get open and get a free shot, go to Butch. Butch, your man, you're going to come off that pit, and I promise you, you're going to be wide open when you come off Butch's pit.
Yeah.
And that's how we did it. But that's the difference, Tom, with these kids now. They don't have no enforcers on these teams. I very seldom see enforcers on these teams like Butch was. And the teams that have those guys, they win.
These kids have a sense of entitlement. I mean, Butch, you've been coaching these kids. I mean, my God, you're both of you guys. I mean, Rich is dealing with little kids, but I mean, you're around young players, and you see it. I mean, you look at them, and you probably say to yourself, Butch, we would never talk like that to the coach, or we would never talk like that to the parents, or we'd never, I mean, that's got to be mind-boggling to you.
It is, and I've been out of it from coaching high school for the last couple of years. I'm doing youth basketball now, but I was always frank with the kids, and I would tell them, this is what's going wrong. This is what you're not doing. Whether you want to hear it, this is my opinion, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I think they get it from AAU basketball, club basketball, travel ball. The parents are telling, and I said, listen, if you go to college, there's another guy just as good as you that doesn't have a bad attitude, that doesn't have an ego problem. If you go to college with that attitude, you'll be home in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's a strong statement. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely true.
Guys that have gone and come home in 2 weeks, and then listen to me now, so you don't have to pay for it later.
Yeah.
It's a different world, And one of the things we had a bond, we had knocked down. There's some truth behind when they say that you practice the way you play or you play the way you practice. We used to have some knockdown, drag out practices. Rich will tell you.
Yes, we did.
Blood on the floor of practice. We would get after it, and that just carried over into the game. We were a physical, and back then, when we first came into Michigan, and me coming from the East, that's right about when the Big East started.
Oh, that was big time. Yeah.
People were comparing the Big East to the Big Ten, and the Big East was quote unquote more finesse basketball.
Yeah.
Where the Big Ten was we used to get after it, and the referees let you play. There was no flagrant one, or we got to review this and we got to do that. No, we would get after it. It was the way it was,
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. It's too bad. Well, I mean, I don't know how one can change it. I mean, I guess this is why coaches they're saying I can't do this anymore. I talked to a lot of college coaches. They've run out of steam, because and like you talking, it's about the handlers, it's about the enablers. Everyone wants to be involved. You got to go through. I mean, the high school coach is probably the most irrelevant person now because I know coach, the high school coach. It's crazy.
Nope. They go to AAU, and that's what I say about AAU. It has destroyed a bunch of young, great players who could have been, because every team in AAU is called elite. What is elite? Are you kidding me?
That's good.
You 12 years old, but you elite. No, you're not.
No.
You're not elite. But we fool these guys, and what happens too is I've watched it because my son played AAU. I watched these parents, what we call helicopter parents, who hover over these kids, and they think that these kids. Tom, I coach 6 and 7 year olds now, and you will be amazed how some of the parents come to the game. If their son don't play enough and shoot enough, they complain about. I think I'm gonna take my son out the program. Really? Oh, he's 7. But you're going to take him out the program because he ain't shooting enough? And so these kids are programmed because I think it's a bunch of parents who wanted to be great, And if they're not, they want to live it through their kids.
Yeah, living vicarious through the kids. I mean, it's the ultimate.
Right. And so I just hope that, these kids start to just love the game like we did. We love the game. And in order to be good and great, you got to work at it. You got to be at the gym every day. You can't just all of a sudden come on game day and don't practice and think that you're going to be great. No, it's like what Butch said earlier. You practice how you play.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys played well, played hard. And that was a fun era, man. Those, especially that junior and senior year. I love that team.
Yes.
I was heartbroken. You guys couldn't get into the Sweet 16, but it's all about the matchups. Yeah, I mean, my guy, your junior lost the eventual national champions, Villanova, with Ed Pinckney and all those guys, and so no shame in that. But hey, Butch, I really appreciate you coming on with us, man. We got to do this again. We barely scratched the surface with. I mean, my God, 30 minutes goes by. We had Mark Hughes on here. We had Mark Hughes on. Guys, we've gone 45 minutes. We got to wrap this thing up. I mean, it's just
Listen, big fella, I appreciate you, man, because you come on every time I ask, and I ain't got nothing but love for you. You know that.
Absolutely. Same here, Rich, man. I love you, brother. You know that.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to always be. All right, Tom.
All right. Okay, we'll do it again, Butch. Hey, enjoy that Florida sunshine. Send some up here for us if you would.
Absolutely, guys. And go blue, fellas. Go blue.
Go blue, bro. Go blue.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right. Take care now.